Welcome, everyone, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight we are joined by a very special guest, Fiona Dourif, who just reprised her role on Chucky last week on Sci-Fi's new hit show, Chucky. Fiona, thank you for being here with us. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm just really excited to talk to you. And it's not just me. You should see the messages of people just psyched to watch this interview with you.
Yeah, the online response to the last episode was pretty surprising and exciting.
Y-
I was surprised at how many people didn't recognize me in a way I enjoyed. And we're surprised, and the enthusiasm was rad.
Well, the show is a phenomenal success. Congratulations on that. The show is a continuation from the movie, which you were a big part
Hmm.
of, Cult of Chucky. So it's
Yep.
great. You go from the movie directly into the TV show where it picks up, and you're back. You're back with, Jennifer Tilly is also back. And yesterday, I just came back from a convention. I got to see Christine Elise, and she's going to be
Yep.
our guest as well. So I got to ask you, I mean, you look incredibly like your dad. Do you get that a lot?
I've been hearing it my whole life, and I don't really see it. I see it from the eyes up. We both have this giant forehead, and I think our eyes are the same. But when I first started acting at 23, everybody would comment on it. But I think my dad's face is kind of angular, and I think he looks like an angel a little bit more than I
He
do.
looks like an angry angel.
Uh,
I got to ask you, though, you are just as talented as your dad, and you have a great resume. Is it difficult, not just for you, but being the child of a famous actor or artist, to get your own recognition, to get out from under their spotlight and get to the spotlight that you have earned for yourself?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was difficult. There's certainly this conception out there that I did an audition and all of that, and I certainly did. What what being the child of an actor is helpful. You get access in a way that a lot of people deserve and don't get.
Mm-hmm.
So you stay grateful and you recognize it, and then from that point you see what happens and do your best. I think that nobody's ever hired me if they didn't think I was right for something.
That's true.
Um and yeah, and then the places that it carried me, I often play villains more than anything else, which I think that, my dad probably, I would say like 60% of his roles were villains. I think mine's a little bit higher. I never think of them as villains, but I think other people do. And I think that's
There's so much
comes
fun to
from,
play.
it's more
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
It's way more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're more interesting. They're out for something. They're
Yeah, yeah.
struggling,
So let's talk about the show. Okay, like I said, Chucky is a direct continuation of Cult of Chucky.
Hmm.
Now, let's go to what your association is with Charles Lee Ray, Chucky, aka your dad. Um, Chucky murdered your whole family in the
Chucky
movie.
murdered my whole family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason why you're a paraplegic on the in the movie and on the show is because Chucky stabbed your mom while she was pregnant with you. Is that accurate?
Yep, that's accurate.
So, and of course, Chucky, Charles Lee Ray, has it in for your mom because it's because of her that he ended up getting caught and killed by the police. So it's
Hmm.
very personal between Nika's family and Charles Lee Ray,
Yep.
Chucky. Do you like that aspect that you guys have just you and Chucky? It's not just, oh my God, this doll is trying to kill me. It is personal.
it's personal, and I thought of it as informed her whole life. And at some point, when you're in a mental hospital and you look at every important thing that's ever happened seems designed by this one entity
Mm-hmm.
that is supernatural and more powerful than you, then the whole thing takes on a meaning that's beyond survival. I am here in order to battle this thing. This is the thing, the only thing that matters. This is all the meaning there is.
Would you?
It's a big thing to play. It's a big, fun, meaningful, imaginative universe.
And you look like you have a real blast playing this character.
I have so much fun. I have so much fun. And also he keeps throwing me more and more interesting things to do, which I'm very lucky for, and wait till you guys see the finale. I mean, it just gets so crazy. Yeah. It's really fun. And also to get to inhabit Chucky too, was maybe the most fun I've ever had playing a character, because I think the reason why everybody likes him so much is that he is so utterly free and he is having so much fun.
And he's so evil. He's just an evil bastard.
He's free, man. He's not evil.
He's a, oh my God. Do you remember the first time you ever met Don Mancini?
Well, so it goes. Don met my mom when she was pregnant with me, because my father used to teach acting for directors, or directing actors at Columbia University in New York. And Don was a student. He audited the class. So he was sat in a class that was taught by my dad. And he met my mom after, and she was pregnant with me. And then I think we met during the filming of first Chucky.
Okay.
It's one of my memories where I walk into a sound booth, and my dad was doing the ADR of being burned alive. And I watched it. I was like 6. I watched it and was deeply upset and ran away, and they had to find me. And I think I hid under a desk or something. And then I think I was at the premiere too. Though memory is so unreliable, so it might not be true. And then when Don and I met as adults, it was during the casting of Curse of Chucky. I first auditioned for Barbara, the sister, which everyone thought I was going to be more right for. And then I get a call from my dad. He's like, I got this call from Don. He thought you might be good for the lead. I put that on tape. And then Don and I had a long phone call, and we realized we're kind of similar people. And then we became pretty fast friends.
That's awesome. I would assume your dad and Don are probably like best friends by now. Yeah.
No, we all love each other very much.
Now, would you say Child's Play was the first horror movie that you've ever seen?
No, so I have an older sister who's 5 years older that is utterly fearless. And my sister, I can't watch horror movies because they scare me. I like them, I watch them, but I'm one of those people who looks down at the ground because they're too scared. But my sister would torture me. She would make me sometimes watch operations, people's eyes getting operated on. And then she also had me watch An Exorcist.
Oh God. At what age?
8.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
8. Chucky never scared me. Because it's my dad. And the deal with my dad is he's actually this wonderful, kind sort of wood elf, He's just not a scary guy. So it's just too associated with my daddy.
Exactly. Now, let's go back to Nika. Do you think her time in the sanatorium has sort of made her lose her sense of her grip on reality a little bit? Being locked up, being accused of the murder of her family?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it's grip on reality, but it's grip on your faith that everything is going to turn out okay. I think at some point she was like, you know what? It might not turn out okay.
And this
And
evil
so,
bastard won.
yeah. It might not turn out okay. I might have to sacrifice myself, but at least there's a little bit of meaning in my life and I'm willing to do it. That's sort of how I thought about it.
Okay. Now, at the end of the movie, you become possessed by Charles Lee Ray. What did you think of that aspect of the movie?
I was so excited to do that. I was like, finally, give me Chucky to play, right? Because he's free, man. He's free and he's having fun. So I that was the scene I was really excited to do. I was really excited to they put this contraption on me, this like long rope that had me kind
Yeah.
of come up into frame. So it felt a little acrobatic and liberating, and yeah, I was excited to play him. I was excited to talk to my dad about it, what kind of makes him tick. It's just like a fun, imaginative exercise.
And that,
The whole thing feels like some weird fucking lottery I
yeah. And then that was
stumbled
actually going to be
into.
my next question. I was going to ask you, did you go to your dad for advice or did you want to put your own spin on Chucky?
I totally went to him for advice, or just like what makes Chucky Chucky? How does he tick? And my dad always said the same thing. He's like, listen, Chucky is terrified of oblivion. He's ultimately driven by fear of oblivion, and he really loves his job. He's having fucking fun,
He's
man.
having fun. I mean, the way you described it, him being free, you're right. He is
Yeah.
free and he doesn't give a shit. And that,
Wouldn't you like to be that free?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I might have to turn this on.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
now I can't see myself at all, but here I am.
Okay, there you are. We can see you just fine. Now, your dad, I mean, he's a brilliant actor. I mean, and a horror
Hmm.
legend, but beyond the horror legend part, he's just a brilliant actor. When did you, was it your dad being an actor that made you want to be an actress, or was it just in your blood? I mean, it is in your blood. Did you always know that you wanted to, act in one way or another?
Yeah, so my grandmother was an actress too.
Okay.
And then on my mother's side, we had actors also. So there's probably some like genetic predisposition for it, or the ability to do it. And yes, I wanted to be an actress when I was a kid for sure. I remember my mother sort of fighting um, for me to be able to audition. I auditioned for The Hunt for the Red October. Remember that
Really? Oh,
movie?
yeah.
And I auditioned for that movie when I was a kid, and I didn't get the part.
That's one
And then
role,
the
by the way.
what's as the daughter,
Okay, Jack
as like
Ryan's
the
daughter. Okay,
kid.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I just remember being in the audition. I didn't get the part, and then I think my next audition was for Deadwood. I was a
Uh-huh.
PA on. I grew up doing PA work, which
Mm-hmm.
is a production assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So they would like pay me, $50 a day or something to get people coffee on sets or whatever. And I was a PA on Deadwood, and then David Milch, who is the most generous, interesting, brilliant person. He thought that maybe I could be an actress and sent me to this improv class. I must have been 22.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on stage in this improv class, and there was just this thing where I was like, wow, this is so free and so fun. And there was something about it that I could do. I felt confident in it. And at that point, then I got the chance to audition for a couple things. I got the first movie I ever auditioned for, which was this tiny movie called Little Chenier, where I was playing a whore. And and then the agency signed. They were like, "Oh, she might be able to work." They signed me on, and then it was like it was a slow. I always worked, but it was small things, and it would be like 4 movies a year or something. And I was a waitress and a bartender, and in order to support
Of
myself.
course.
But I would always work here and there, and then it started to take off about 6 years ago, where I started to get television shows and leading parts and have a little more confidence.
Absolutely. Now, would you say your time as a PA, just the time on the set, for any actor is priceless. Getting that set experience is just priceless.
Yeah, I was raised. I mean, I was really raised around movies for sure. I was raised on the set and in the culture of it. And it's like it's a beautiful circus. You can feel really when it works well. You're kind of in a troupe, and everybody's making this thing, and especially if we think it's going to be good, there's nothing like it. And my time as a PA, this is what it did. It made me really cognizant that everybody's job is more exhausting than mine.
Yeah.
Acting is and don't get me wrong, acting is very, very hard. And I think it's why they treat you so well, right? Because you have to get yourself into this vulnerable state and then open your heart, or you're not going to do it well. But everybody else is there for 13, 14, 15 hours.
Exactly.
So the time not having money and having to get coffee and turn on and off air conditioners and all that stuff, just it made me maybe more of a team player or something.
Exactly. Okay, I wanna ask you. Everybody has their own way of getting in a character, and they have a different way to getting into different characters. What do you do to get into Nika's character?
So when I do any part,
Well,
here I am.
there you go.
When I do any part, I write a lot, so I'll always have a real sense of the backstory, where they're coming from, what like things in their life had meaning,
Yeah.
that like, oh, this thing happened and it made me look at the world this way. And this stuff could be like never related to the plot of the story. It's just how they emotionally understand the world. And then you kind of walk around and you find out how they feel in the world. And then at that point, then you can play, and I'll try a scene 100 different ways before I show up on set. And that way I don't have a plan of what I'm going to do. Which is also important.
We got you.
Because you want it to be spontaneous.
Yep.
And then for Nika, I hung out with a few paraplegic people.
Okay.
And talked to them about, I like lifted weights and in a wheelchair, and sort of tried to get a sense of what that's like. And it's and it was great. And I also loved the way Don portrayed her. He portrayed her also as a sexual person, a complete person. She was maybe an ingenue at first, and then less so.
And I've spoken to a lot of actors, and I would say the majority of them filling in the back character like you just described, even though it has nothing to do with the plot itself. It's very important just to play the character, because the writers, the majority of the time, they don't give you a backstory to any character. No. So that's left up to you. And it plays big into how you're going to portray that character on the screen. It's
the art of it. Yeah. I mean, I think so much so with acting, it's not really like a musician, right? Like a musician will get a composition and then play it, and they put their own twist on it. And for acting, it feels like the words are the least important thing, actually.
Yeah.
Though Mamet would say I was wrong, but he's wrong. I think it's informing all of it. It's informing all of it and bringing your own life experience and perception of how the world works onto it. And twisting it, right? Like dialing things up or down within your personality. But it's always some version of you. And if it's not a version of you, it's never going to feel true. It's never going to be anything that's worth watching.
Now, how lenient is Don when it comes to you putting your own bit into the character? If he's lenient at all?
This is what he does. he'll let us do whatever we want, and then he'll cut it out.
That's mean. Now
We ad lib up a storm, and then we watch it, and we're like, huh,
he cut it out. He probably
cut it
has.
all out.
He probably has his own little private collection at home with everybody.
Here's the thing: is he's a really deliberate writer, right? Like, I think that's one of the reasons why his franchise has been so successful for so long, and then keeps gaining fans and momentum, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Chucky's ever been as popular as it is right now, at least from where I'm standing. Yeah. I mean, on Halloween, I swear every fourth kid was a Chucky. I was like, really? Is it this popular? But he's a deliberate writer, and he thinks in themes, and each word is clever and thought about, right? So we end up respecting the script. It's not about like blood and guts and gore, though there's that in it because it's such a fun element. But it's smart. Like, this season's about bullying.
Exactly.
Which is something that, Dawn as a gay kid went through,
I had the pleasure of hearing him speak. You see, I watched the premiere of Chucky at New York Comic Con, and afterwards it was him and Jennifer Tilly that did a little Q&A on the stage.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing person. He's very open about his childhood and what he went through and his inspirations for creating Chucky. He's a really fascinating man. Now, growing up with Chucky, because your dad was Chucky, I'm sure, at which point with you growing up in it, did you realize that this is something much bigger than my dad, much bigger than anything, and it just has, it's taken on a life of its own?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I had a sense of how zeitgeisty it was until maybe high school.
Okay.
When, I think Chucky was made when I was 7, something like that. And my birthday is the day before Halloween. So
wow.
I would always have a Halloween party. And my dad, it's the only time he'll do the laugh or the voice is on my birthday. And so everybody was always really excited about it. And I was like, oh, whatever. Okay. And then when I was in high school, I remember there was a point where the fact that I was Chucky's daughter would get around. So I was sort of known for it. It was like, hey, dude, do you know who her dad is? And it became like nicknames and stuff. And yeah, it's always been some kind of deep corner of my identity.
Now, in an interview with Don Mancini, you spoke about how your experience with Cult of Chucky was improved over Curse of Chucky because the part was specifically written for you. What is the difference between being with a part that is written with you in mind as opposed to one that you are casted for?
I don't know if there was actually much of a difference between Curse and Cult. He ended up writing something in Curse that I think was just quite right for me.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no beats that ever felt kind of difficult to maneuver that I didn't understand with a little bit of work. With Cult, it just became more to do and more interesting and more suffering. And, she just, it was a person kind of flattened first and then fighting to get out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, because your dad's role is usually, it's voiceover work.
It's voiceover, yeah.
Does he spend any time on the set? Like, do you see him at all on the set? Or he does his thing in a sound studio away from everything else?
Exactly. Yeah. They flew him out in Curse of Chucky because he had one scene.
Mm-hmm.
And they flew him out to Winnipeg, and they kept him there and let him stay for like 5 more days in order to see my first few scenes, which I think was really kind. But me and my father have yet to be in a scene together.
Yeah. Yeah.
ever on anything, and I think it should happen soon. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people who don't know think, oh, wow, here's Fiona Dourif. Of course, she got this role because her dad is Chucky and nepotism. And they're absolutely wrong. You said it perfectly earlier. Directors, casting directors, they're not going to cast you regardless of who your parents are if you're not right for the role, because the bottom line is money. I mean, so what do you say to those critics, or how do you tune them out?
I don't see it as critics. I mean, it's completely understandable. There is a lot of luck involved in life, period.
Yeah.
And I, was delivered a good hand in a lot of aspects, and in other aspects, less of one. But
Mm-hmm.
I just got incredibly lucky, and I'm grateful for it. I mean, I just am. All you can do is be grateful for it and do your best.
Now,
Do your best in the role. That's
exactly,
it.
exactly. Now,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you auditioned. Is that when you
Yeah.
first got to? Was
Oh
it
yeah.
weird? Was Don in the room when you were auditioning? Was it weird? Somebody you've known your whole life and he's
I
there?
didn't I didn't know him.
Oh,
So
okay.
so yeah, so I had met him when I was a child and I didn't remember. And then he
Okay.
met my mother when she was pregnant with me. So he's known my father for a long time, but my dad is this kind of wonderful hermit. So my dad might be this like Hollywood actor, but in no way does it seem like that when you live with him. He's just this like strange
Yeah.
kind of hermit that's into physics, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so there was no like Hollywood parties or anything. Um, and when I first met Don, it was in the audition room, and it was very much like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And we had maybe some exchange of something about my family or something. And then I auditioned for Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, that's not what happened. I didn't audition for Barbara. I had put myself on tape for Barbara when I was doing some. I was like in Moab, New Mexico, or
Okay.
Moab, Utah. Put the tape together, and then got a call to go in and audition for the lead. And I was like, I'm not right for the lead. I can't do an ingenue. And they really and then I had said that I wasn't right for it. And then my dad called me and he was like, no, I just got off the phone with Don. He thinks you're right for the lead. And so I went in at that point, or did I tape again? I maybe taped for Nika, and then I got a call back. And then I went in for the room to Dawn, and it was 3 scenes, one of which I had to like break down crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got it, me and him got on the phone and I remember talking to him for like 90 minutes or something. And we realized that we have a lot in common. And Don actually turned out to be, I mean, truly one of my closest friends. I mean,
Awesome.
I spend holidays with him, and he was with me when my mother died.
Oh,
He's like
yeah.
he's a fucking blessing. Also just like a really good person.
Exactly.
He's like a good, collaborative, smart person.
Yeah.
I just love him.
Yeah, just listening to him speak, that's exactly how he comes across. Now, Don has went on the record and said that you had the look that he was going for the role that you were casted in. Did you get, when you auditioned, what the physical attributes of your character were supposed to be, and did you play into that for the audition?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know what he said actually when he when he cast me after, he explained it. He was like, "Yeah, you were the only one that I believed in the wheelchair."
Wow.
And he was like, "I think it just seems like you've suffered." And not that everybody in a wheelchair has suffered, but this character certainly suffers. And so I was like, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it's true, right? But it's a funny thing.
Now, how important was it for you? You said you did some research, you spoke to paraplegics. to
Hmm.
get their portrayal right? Did you put some maybe added responsibility on your shoulders to make sure they are portrayed properly on screen?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that I didn't want it to define the character,
Okay.
you know. I think that they're complete people. They're people who are sexual and have relationships and have interests, and I didn't want it to be the defining. She's her own person with her own talents who is also disabled.
Yeah.
And I think that was an important thing to portray. I didn't think of her as an injured flower.
No. No.
Yeah,
Now, the whole Child's Play franchise has already etched itself in history. It's there. It's along with the
isn't
Nightmare,
it?
yeah, with the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Halloweens, the Friday the 13th. It's already there. Where, well, two-part question. Where would you like to see this franchise go moving forward? And how much of this franchise do you want it to define your career?
That's interesting. That's interesting. Um, so I mean, who's to say if Nika's going to survive? We don't
Exactly.
know, right?
Exactly.
There's a, yeah. I mean, I know, but you don't know.
No.
And there's just there's so many themes that Dawn is interested in exploring, and they're all pretty unique. And there's a lot of places that it can go. We were really, I wouldn't say surprised, but thrilled with how popular the show is and
Okay.
how much of a hit it is. So it seems like there's going to be room to explore
Many more different
a lot,
aspects.
many things. And how much do I want it to define me? I'm thrilled to be a part of it. It feels somewhat like my family legacy
Yeah.
in some way,
Mm-hmm.
though it's definitely Dawn's creation.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to be along for the ride of something that I get to make with people that this sounds cheesy. Everybody says it. It's so fucking true in this case, though.
Uh-huh.
I get to make it with people that I absolutely have known forever and love.
Yep.
And we have so much fun making it. During the finale, we were like sitting there behind the monitor with the puppeteers, all of which I've known for 10 years at this point,
Uh-huh.
just dying of laughter, just like erupting in giggles.
Oh, that is so
And
awesome.
so you get to have, and I get to go to all these like far flung places to promote it and then to shoot it, and then I get paid well for it, and people really like it. You like
Yeah.
get congratulated, and the whole thing feels like this surreal lottery ticket I somehow like stumbled upon. And do I want it to define me? I mean, not completely. I think that I've done at this point a lot of things. Right now I'm shooting a survivalist movie with Peter Facinelli and Lance Hendrickson, who's
Nice.
also a person that I've known forever. And it's about the Paradise Fires. I got to
Uh-huh.
do really cool stuff in The Stand, and I was in Tenet, and there's a lot of
Exactly. And that,
I've gotten a lot of opportunity to deal not only in genre but in other
yeah.
things.
And that,
And yeah, and it's a really lucky life. It's a really lucky life, and it didn't have to work out, and it has, and I'm just grateful.
well, there's talent there too.
Yeah.
That's going to be my next question. You have played a wide spectrum of characters. Okay,
Hmm.
you have done drama. You have done a little bit of everything. As you move forward in your career, uh, you know, I'm sure you want to do more horror, just like you want to do more drama or maybe comedies or whatnot. But as an actor, I assume you don't want to be pigeonholed into a certain type of genre or a character type or anything like that.
Yeah, my agent says this to me all the time. He's like, Fiona, because I'll sometimes turn things down if I feel like my take on it isn't going to be what they want.
Uh-huh.
But he nudges me to not do that. You know, the niche I'm in now, I notice, is people who are a little feral. I would say that word follows me.
Okay.
And it's just the best one. I don't know what to say. Like it's so much more interesting than playing the love interest or the girlfriend or the wife or the soft. It's
badass to be the bad guy.
Yeah, and I never think of them as bad guys, right? But
so how do you define them?
But
just
there's
morally
so much
corrupt?
Vulnerability in it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's vulnerability in it. There's strife. There's it comes from I mean, it changes with each character, but it comes from a quality of being desperate and lost.
Yeah.
And willing to do what it takes in order to survive it, right? So the themes are just higher. Stakes are high.
Let me give you your dad as an example. Terrific actor. I mean, brilliant. I mean, Brad Dourif is, oh my God, I love him. But he is known as Chucky. And, he's the voice of Chucky. We saw him in Child's Play. We've seen him a little bit throughout the movies. But, a lot of people know Brad Dourif. And if you ask, you're like, yeah, that's Chucky. When you start reaching the twilight of your career, do you want that? Do you want what your dad... I don't want to say what happened to your dad, because your dad has had a brilliant career. But do you want to be in the same position your dad is in right now, where
it's Chucky?
Yeah, with basically, you are this person from this franchise, and all your other stuff is sort of pushed in the background.
Yeah, I sort of don't think that way, right? Because what are we talking about? We're talking about who remembers me and in what context. Like, I just don't. I don't think I care.
Okay.
I don't think I care. I think the point of life is to
be happy in what you do.
Play out the hand that you were dealt, and try to live well and be kind to people and do the best you can. Stay interested in things, stay curious with things. And then however they remember you, they'll remember you for how long, and then we all die.
Exactly.
Yeah. not to get bigger themed about it, but I think that's true. I think that's a misconception. My dad doesn't fucking care what people remember him as,
That's a great attitude to have. And
it's true.
Are you like the actor who doesn't read any reviews, fans, or critics?
I don't read reviews.
Yeah.
No.
So you are from, correct me if I'm wrong, but you, like you should be, are more interested in being proud of the work you do, doing the best that you can and having fun doing it.
Having fun doing it, yeah, and appreciating the people who appreciate it,
yeah.
And that's it. I mean, for me, the art of it is figuring out. It feels like sort of a painting, right?
Yeah.
You figure out how you see something. You take these sort of emotional truths that you've picked up from your life, and you try to put it in this imaginative setting. And if the setting is as wild and crazy as some of the genre stuff is, then you're lucky.
Exactly. Now
you're lucky. I mean, yeah. I
was going to say, with that in mind, what are your thoughts on the devotion of horror fans?
Chucky fans specifically?
Yeah.
There's so much loyalty out there.
Yeah.
There's so much excitement and loyalty, and there's something that character has done for people that they identify with, and sometimes it confuses me, and sometimes it just delights me.
Mm-hmm.
And I credit Don Mancini more than anything. I mean, he is the voice of it.
Yeah.
He's truly the voice of Chucky. Nobody can write Chucky like Don. You
No.
know, they have Chucky like screaming curse words, but Chucky's clever. You
Hmm.
know, he just is clever. Um, yeah, I
I mean, horror
did I answer your
fans, yeah,
question?
horror fans, basically, almost a lot of the people that I've spoken to, horror fans are very loyal to the genre. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, in my opinion as well, they're some of the greatest fans out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the people I appreciate. You know, it's always it's not always, but it's often misfits.
Yeah,
You know, it's people who always felt a little outside of things.
yeah,
You know, and life and death and murder and all of that stuff. You know, it's not only dark, it's fun. And I think a little bit of stress, which is what you go through when you watch a horror movie,
yeah,
stress that you're in control of is stimulating.
yeah,
And and it's like a roller coaster ride, you know?
absolutely. Now, for a lot of people, this is most often true for TV. When they've played a character for a while, they become invested in that character. For you, you've done it in movies and it is now transferred over to television. How invested are you into your character on
Oh,
Chucky?
I love her. I love her.
Would you?
I love Nika. I love her and I feel incredibly confident playing her, which wasn't always the case, right? Like that grew with time. And at this point, you know, when I was about to shoot it, I didn't have to go through all the steps that you usually have to go through
Hmm.
because it's a perspective on life that I at this point absolutely know. So that was cool and liberating and just made it so that I could fully trust myself.
That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
as you guys were shooting the series for Sci-Fi, and they brought back a lot of the old faces from previous Chucky movies before you appeared in
Hmm.
them,
Yeah, I know.
like Jennifer Tilly, Christina Lee is coming back. I think next week. What was that the first time you got to meet them, and what was it like
No,
working
yeah,
with
no,
them?
no. So they both were in Cult of Chucky, right? Or was it Curse too? I think it was
Christine,
in both.
Christine, I believe, was in Child's Play too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know Christine before I did Curse of Chucky,
Okay.
but they also appeared in Cult. They appeared in Cult for sure. I can't
Yeah.
remember if they appeared in Curse. Andy Barkley, Alex Vincent appeared in Curse.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, and you know, I've known them at this point for 11 years, 10 years. Um, so it
When I met Christine this last weekend, the pretty much the first sentence out of her mouth is, uh, "You wait till you see Fiona." And so, just appeared last week. We're like, "Yeah, she's going to be our guest on Monday." She had like nothing but praise for you.
Oh yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
No, we love each other. She's also an incredible cook. She'll invite me to dinner parties. She's great, and she's a great friend
Would
and a great actress.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say even the people that you have not known for years, part of the cast and crew, you have all really melded well, and the chemistry behind the set, would you call yourselves just one big happy family?
A circus troupe. Yeah, it was really fun. You know, the kids were really sweet and they all hang out all the time, you know. Yeah, and Don is a wonderful team leader, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah, we all melded and also there was this sense after about halfway through the first episode that we were making something good,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
you
which doesn't
guys,
always happen.
so you guys knew halfway through filming this series that this is going to be something special. So when it did come time for it to premiere in October, were you at all nervous? How is this going to be received?
don't know if I was nervous. No, I don't think I was nervous. I was excited
Okay.
and I was out of town is what happened.
All
I
right.
was where was I? I had gone to Sitges Film Festival
Okay.
to so I was in Spain and then I flew straight to do a movie in Pittsburgh. So the whole thing happened when I was like and now I'm in Austin, Texas on another movie. So I haven't been able to be with people
Yeah.
during it. So it sort of happened and I haven't been able to watch them in real time, which sucks. Um, but I sort of, there's been a lot of text messages back and forth and conversations with Dawn and stuff about how well it was received and how good our numbers are.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's something like 4.4 million people are watching it, which is really high
That is really
for a
high.
cable show. Yeah. Yeah. And that the numbers aren't dropping is really cool. People seem to be really excited. My social media is like,
Yeah.
gone through the roof.
Now,
Um,
now let me ask you. Basically, as this thing continues to grow in success, uh, as far as your character goes, do you, like you said, you know what happens to her. We don't. But do you want to see Nika just go through the whole thing, or like if Don told you or will tell you that you know what her time has come and she's going to die, you're going to be sad, but also you're going to be excited in a way for the character and the arc that they've been through to go out with a bang.
yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm gonna die next episode.
Oh, you're teasing us now. What would you say up until now? I mean, is the project that you have done that was really a turning point in your career?
Oh, I mean, it was Chucky
It was
for
Chucky.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Chucky. I mean, Chucky was the first time. So I had done True Blood for a season, but right before I was cast, and I had done and then movies and TV shows here and there. But Chucky, doing the lead in Chucky was the first time that I was the center point of something that was very widely seen.
Okay.
And at that point was when I started to get offers for stuff, and it was definitely it's definitely the thing that I've done uh, that people associate me the most with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, though also that sort of depends on where you are. So I did a show that was pretty popular in Canada. So when I was in Canada, I was, people
Yeah.
recognize me from that more.
Now, let's say if we can look into the future and Chucky can go on for like 5 to 7 seasons and you're in him, you're in the entire run, and you're playing this one character for 7 years. As an actress, is that something that's appealing to you? And then, of course, during the off time, you go and you'll shoot the movie here and there, but your primary job is Nika on Chucky. Is that something that would fulfill you as an actress, or would you feel limited?
I would do anything with Don Mancini forever. I mean, that's how much fun it is,
That's a
truly. And it really is about him. He, I find the character and the making of it and the whole thing, deep. Sorry, I'm getting another call.
It's
You know
okay.
who's calling me? Lance Hendrickson. I love him.
Oh yeah, he called
He's
me
just
earlier. I got to get back to him too.
he's also just that man is maybe the most interesting person I've ever
Lance
met.
Henriksen is a icon. I love him.
Also the most interesting life I've ever met.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 82. He's lived so wildly.
He's 82.
He's 80
He
or
di-
81.
he doesn't look it.
Born in 1940.
Wow. Wow. Talk about a career that man has had. I mean, he's legendary.
Yeah, also the many careers he's had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was like a seaman. He was like a military guy. And then he was a very celebrated actor. He's a. I can talk for days
So,
about
I mean, well, let's
how
talk a
incredible that
little
man
bit
has
about
been.
like, I mean, I could see Lance and your dad. Is he like a second father figure to you? Is he what?
He's been friends with my dad for a very long
Uh
time.
huh.
So I remember him as a kid, but we met. He's on this movie that I'm on, which is why he called me.
Ah,
So I've been hanging out with him for the last week, and I had to say to him, I'm Brad Dourif's daughter, and he was like, no shit.
he didn't
And
know.
then he put it together, and then he put it together who I was, and then he remembered, and then we talked about our families and stuff. And then me and him ended up having a lot of stuff in common. And I just like sat at his knee and listened to these stories, and we got beers together, and it was
Wow,
just, yeah. Anyway, we've been hanging out for like the last 5 days.
that's
And
awesome.
I think at the end of it, I was like, I love you.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would kill just to be you for a day.
Sometimes it's a nightmare.
Now, how do you feel about the language and gore that we're now seeing on cable TV, like Chucky? I mean, there's no censor at all when it comes to the language with Chucky and the gore on cable TV. It wasn't like that 10, 20 years ago. I don't know if you remember. I mean, it's going way back, but how do you feel about when you're watching cable TV? It's like you're going to an R-rated movie.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's true. I think that if it's gratuitous, then it's gratuitous, and it's not useful. I don't think that Chucky gets into that territory.
No.
We had a limited number of times we could even curse, right? So we can curse, but I think it's limited to 10 times an episode.
Which is a lot.
And the yeah, and the blood and guts of it, which is 100% there, is always deliberate,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And you look at 70s horror movies, which was like, I think their heyday. And it's been pretty visceral and gory for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not making Hostel.
No, God, don't get me started on that. Fiona, this hour has just flown by. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're out of
yeah. I
time.
have to go into Austin,
I
so
know,
I
I
gotta
know. I
go.
want to thank you so much. This has been one of the funnest interviews I've ever done. And you're just
Oh, thank you,
you
man.
you
Thank
look
you.
like a blast to hang out with. You would be just an absolute blast to hang out with. I want to thank you so much for being our guest. Any final thoughts you want before we go? Guys, if you don't know already, the show is on Tuesdays on Sci-Fi. Fiona Dourif is one of the
Wait,
stars.
Sci-Fi and USA.
Yes. And USA?
Yeah, it's on both.
Okay, yeah. Sci-Fi and USA. Chucky, the
10
continuation.
o'clock.
10 o'clock, Tuesday nights, the continuation of Child's Play and all the Chucky movies. Watch Fiona. She's amazing. They're bringing back almost everybody from the prior movies, but with a brand new, fresh story and a lot of surprises. Fiona, any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did you recognize me as Charles?
Uh, right
You can
away.
say yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I tell you what, talking to you live, you look, you don't look like your dad right now
Right?
at all.
From Europe.
But like going through pictures of you online, there are just some where you are the spitting image of your dad. Really, you're just like the spitting image of your dad. But looking at you now, if we met, I would never connect you with Brad Dourif at all as being his
Right.
daughter.
I
So
also have this long, weird hair at the moment. But yeah,
your hair is
totally.
beautiful. Your hair is beautiful.
But it's not my hair.
It's
It's
not.
extensions.
Oh,
No, it's extensions for a movie.
oh God. Can you tell us when this movie might be coming out, starring you and Lance
Well, so it's me and Peter Facinelli.
Facinelli? Yeah.
The guy from Twilight.
Uh huh.
And
One of the sparkling
eh,
vampires.
one of the sparkling vampires. Yeah, and also Angel Asher or Asher Angel,
Wow.
who is the guy from what's that movie? I forget
Me,
the big Disney movie,
me,
Shazam.
okay,
Anyway,
yeah.
uh, it will probably, we're gonna finish filming in a week. I would say 6, 7 months from now.
Are we look? I know you can't say much, but are we looking at a horror, action, drama?
Oh no, no, it's an action survivalist movie. So it's about the Paradise Fires. I don't
Oh,
know if
that's
you
right. That's
remember
right.
those.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it's about a family who's it's based on true stories, and it's about a family that's trapped in a fire and has to survive.
Can't wait to see it. The cast is awesome. The
Yeah.
story sounds awesome. Fiona, thank you
Yeah.
so much. We look forward to seeing you more on Tuesday and upcoming episodes. Hopefully, they don't kill you. Not tomorrow. Hopefully.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
We don't
If they
know.
do, Don is going to be getting some negative messages from a lot of fans. I want to thank
All
our
right, thanks,
audience
man.
for tuning in. Thank you to Fiona Dourif. Guys, stay safe. Until next time, stay walking. On behalf of Fiona and myself, stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Good night.